What if I told you that many of the things people believe will draw an avoidant man closer are actually the very things that make him step back? What if the bond you're working so hard to create isn't being stopped by a lack of feelings, but by the way his nervous system is wired, his emotional conditioning, and a past he rarely puts into words? Many women believe that honesty, emotional openness, deep conversations, and vulnerability are the keys to breaking through an avoidant man's emotional barriers. It feels natural to think that if you love him more deeply, show him more of your heart, and stay consistently available, he'll eventually feel safe enough to let you in. But with an avoidant man, moving closer emotionally often activates something entirely different. The more intimacy he experiences, the more his internal alarm system begins to switch on. This doesn't mean he doesn't care about you. It doesn't mean he isn't interested. It means that emotional closeness can trigger a stress response that feels intense and difficult for him to manage. His mind becomes alert, his body grows tense, and without even realizing it, he starts preparing to protect himself from a threat that isn't actually there. Where you experience intimacy as comfort and security, he may experience it as pressure. Where you see emotional closeness as peaceful, he may feel as though he's losing control. That difference creates one of the biggest misunderstandings in relationships with avoidant partners. The surprising part is that beneath all of this distance, he still wants love. He still hopes for companionship, acceptance, warmth, and genuine connection. But at the same time, those very things can make him uncomfortable. That constant push and pull creates the silence, emotional distance, and mixed signals that leave so many women confused. The reality is that avoidant men don't build attachment the same way many others do. Their emotional system follows a different pattern. Until you understand the hidden processes guiding when he moves toward you and when he backs away, his behavior will continue to seem confusing. Once you begin to understand how his attachment system truly works, many things suddenly start making sense. One of the biggest surprises is that, on a biological level, many avoidant men don't experience emotional bonding through physical intimacy in the same way others might. For many women, this idea feels unexpected because intimacy is often seen as something that naturally strengthens emotional closeness. But with an avoidant man, the situation is often much more complicated. Many women try to build a stronger connection by becoming more emotionally available. They open up, express their feelings honestly, and hope that shared intimacy will soften his emotional defenses. Yet inside his mind, a completely different process may be taking place. While your body may be releasing oxytocin, the hormone commonly associated with trust, closeness, and emotional bonding, his nervous system may be reducing or interfering with that same bonding response because it remains focused on protecting itself from vulnerability. It's almost as if both of you are experiencing the same moment through two completely different emotional realities without realizing it. You might believe that a wonderful, intimate experience will naturally help him trust you more, become emotionally available, or finally relax into the relationship. For him, however, physical intimacy can sometimes feel more like a brief surge of pleasure driven by dopamine. It's enjoyable in the moment, much like any other rewarding experience, but it doesn't automatically create the deep emotional attachment you're hoping for. That doesn't mean he is incapable of caring deeply. It simply means that his emotional bonding system follows a different path. In fact, there is another biological process, one that is rarely discussed, that may play a much more meaningful role in helping avoidant men develop lasting emotional attachment. When that deeper connection begins to form during moments of closeness, everything can start to change. Instead of becoming distant after intimacy, instead of withdrawing into silence, he may gradually begin to view you differently. Rather than seeing closeness as something overwhelming, he starts seeing you as someone on his side, a trusted companion, a source of emotional safety, someone he genuinely wants beside him and naturally feels protective of. Welcome to Inside Avoidant. In today's video, we're going to explore why traditional ideas about emotional bonding often don't work the same way with avoidant men, the biological factors that can influence how they build attachment, and how intimacy can become a shared emotional experience that creates genuine closeness instead of emotional distance. This isn't about manipulation or trying to force someone to change. It's about understanding how the avoidant nervous system responds so you can approach the relationship with greater awareness, patience, and confidence. One of the first things to understand is why the usual bonding process often falls short with avoidant men. Many people don't realize that their brain and nervous system can respond very differently during intimacy. While you may naturally feel calmer, safer, and emotionally connected because of the hormones released in those moments, his protective system may be reducing those same feelings before they fully take hold. Picture trying to give someone a warm, heartfelt hug while they're wrapped in a heavy winter coat. You may be offering genuine closeness, but much of the warmth never reaches them because there's a protective layer standing in the way. That's often what emotional intimacy feels like for an avoidant man. The desire for connection may exist beneath the surface, but years of emotional conditioning can make it difficult for him to fully experience it in the way you expect. No matter how tightly you hold him or how much affection you give, it can feel as though your warmth never fully reaches him. That's often what happens with avoidant men. Their stress, usually much greater than they ever admit, acts like a protective barrier, preventing the natural bonding process from fully taking place. Most avoidant men never explain this because many don't even recognize it in themselves. When they feel pressured, overwhelmed, anxious, or emotionally exposed, and many live in that state more often than they realize, their nervous system automatically shifts into self-protection. This response doesn't happen because they don't want closeness. It happens because deep down, closeness feels unpredictable, overwhelming, or even unsafe. So while you may see intimacy as the beginning of a deeper emotional connection, his body may interpret that same experience as increased vulnerability. Instead of activating feelings of attachment, his survival instincts quietly take over. This misunderstanding causes tremendous pain in relationships. A woman believes intimacy will strengthen the bond, but when he becomes distant afterward, she feels rejected, confused, and hurt. From his perspective, however, he isn't intentionally pushing her away. He's responding to deeply rooted beliefs that emotional closeness could cost him his independence, leave him feeling controlled, or trap him in emotional expectations. That creates the familiar cycle. The more she reaches for reassurance, the more he withdraws. Not because he doesn't care, but because his attachment system operates differently. Many avoidant men grew up in homes where emotional connection wasn't reliable. Love may have felt inconsistent, distant, or unpredictable. Some had caregivers who were emotionally unavailable, constantly stressed, or too overwhelmed to respond consistently. Others learned early that expressing emotions created problems, or that depending on someone only led to disappointment. Over time, their brains adopted a simple rule: stay independent, stay in control, and never become too emotionally dependent on anyone. As adults, that pattern becomes deeply wired into their nervous system, especially during moments of intimacy when emotions naturally become more exposed. That's why oxytocin alone often isn't enough to create lasting attachment for an avoidant man. His deeper bonding process tends to revolve around something else entirely: safety, trust, cooperation, and shared purpose. One hormone frequently associated with those experiences is vasopressin. Vasopressin has been linked to feelings of commitment, responsibility, protection, and long-term partnership. Instead of creating overwhelming emotional intensity, it supports a quieter feeling of stability. It helps a man think, "This person is on my side. We're in this together. I can rely on her." Many avoidant men respond more comfortably to this type of connection because it doesn't flood them with emotional vulnerability. Instead, it gives them a sense of balance and security. When that feeling develops, something begins to change. Rather than instinctively pulling away after intimacy, he feels calmer. Instead of retreating into silence, he stays emotionally present. Rather than feeling the need to create distance, he starts developing a quiet sense of loyalty, protection, and commitment. For many avoidant men, this is the pathway that allows emotional connection to grow. So how do you encourage that kind of bond? Not through emotional intensity or constant reassurance, but through consistency, calmness, patience, and experiences that feel safe instead of overwhelming. You create space by removing pressure, allowing him room to breathe, offering warmth without demanding immediate emotional responses. You remain steady instead of urgent, open instead of forceful, patient instead of anxious. When he realizes that closeness doesn't automatically mean losing himself, his nervous system slowly relaxes. And once that protective wall begins to lower, genuine bonding becomes much easier. Intimacy stops feeling like something he needs to escape and starts becoming something he genuinely enjoys sharing. Little by little, he begins to see you as someone safe, someone who understands him, even during moments when he struggles to understand himself. From that foundation, connection grows naturally, not because it was forced, but because it matches the way his heart and nervous system have learned to trust. This is also why endless cuddling, affectionate words, or emotional conversations after intimacy don't always affect him the way you expect. Those moments may feel incredibly meaningful to you, but they often don't register in the same way for him. After observing this pattern repeatedly, one thing becomes very clear. Many women experience wonderful moments of physical and emotional closeness with an avoidant partner. Everything feels connected, loving, and genuine. Naturally, they believe this means he'll finally open his heart, stay emotionally available, and embrace the relationship. Instead, he suddenly becomes quieter, more distant, more distracted. That shift leaves her wondering what she did wrong. The reality is that she may not have done anything wrong at all. She simply misunderstood what his nervous system was experiencing. While she walked away feeling emotionally closer, much of what he experienced was a temporary dopamine reward. Dopamine creates immediate pleasure and satisfaction. Think about enjoying your favorite dessert or eating at a restaurant you love. The experience feels wonderful while it's happening, but you don't develop an emotional attachment to the restaurant itself. You simply return because you enjoyed the feeling. For an avoidant man who hasn't yet developed emotional safety, intimacy can function in a similar way. Rather than building attachment, it temporarily comforts or relieves stress. It provides pleasure without necessarily creating emotional closeness. Here's the part that's rarely discussed. Another biological process often plays a larger role in helping avoidant men form deeper attachment. Vasopressin tends to become more active when a man feels he's working alongside someone toward a shared goal. It's not simply about talking through emotions, exchanging affection, or being physically close. It's about facing life together. That hormone has long been associated with loyalty and partnership because it grows stronger through cooperation and shared experiences. If you look back throughout human history, this makes sense. Long before modern dating existed, strong bonds were often built through action. People formed lasting trust by surviving difficult situations together, protecting one another, solving problems, and working toward common goals. Those shared experiences created loyalty that required very few words. Their actions built trust, and their nervous systems remembered it. That same pattern still appears in many avoidant men today. They often feel closest when they experience life with you, rather than simply receiving affection from you. The difference may seem small, but it changes everything. Physical intimacy creates a meaningful moment. Facing challenges together creates a meaningful bond. From countless conversations and observations, another pattern stands out. If an avoidant man only associates you with temporary pleasure, he'll often return whenever he wants that feeling again, much like revisiting a favorite place. He enjoys the experience, but it doesn't automatically create lasting emotional investment. However, when he begins connecting you with teamwork, mutual support, and shared victories, everything shifts. You become more than someone he enjoys spending time with. You become someone woven into his future, someone he naturally wants beside him, someone he values, protects, and builds a life alongside. When men describe this kind of attachment, they rarely focus on emotional intensity alone. Instead, they say things like, "We worked well together," "She always had my back," or "It felt like we could handle anything as a team." Notice the difference. Their strongest memories revolve around shared experiences, cooperation, and overcoming challenges together. This is where the advice becomes practical. Many women believe they need more conversations, more affection, more reassurance, or more physical closeness after intimacy to strengthen the relationship. But those things alone may not activate the type of connection an avoidant man responds to most naturally. He often bonds less through words and more through shared experiences that involve growth, purpose, cooperation, and teamwork. Even something small that both of you accomplish together can strengthen that feeling far more than another emotional conversation ever could. This is one reason avoidant men often remain emotionally connected to women they've created something meaningful with. It doesn't have to be a major achievement. It could be learning a new skill together, working toward a shared goal, or simply supporting each other through a difficult season. What matters isn't the size of the experience. It's the feeling that your partner's moving through life together. That's also why some avoidant men seem to develop stronger feelings after facing hardship alongside someone. Even if the relationship felt uncertain beforehand, the challenge itself became the foundation of trust. The bond wasn't built through comfort alone. It grew through shared effort. This also explains one of the most confusing parts of dating an avoidant man. After intimacy, you may naturally want to cuddle, talk, and enjoy quiet emotional closeness because that's how many people deepen connection. But he's often processing that same moment very differently. Where you see closeness creating love, his nervous system may respond more strongly to cooperation, trust, and shared experiences. The tender moments after intimacy may feel pleasant to him, but they don't automatically create the emotional shift you're expecting. They don't instantly convince him to open up, commit, or imagine a future together. That's why he can seem deeply affectionate one night and emotionally distant the next day. It often feels personal, but much of it comes from how his nervous system is conditioned to respond. Many women assume he didn't enjoy the experience, isn't interested anymore, or is intentionally playing games. In many cases, that's not what's happening. He's simply processing intimacy through a completely different emotional lens. When he creates distance afterward, it isn't always rejection. Often, it's his way of regulating emotions that suddenly feel overwhelming. Avoidant men frequently step back after moments of intense pleasure because closeness that develops too quickly can activate old protective patterns. They often need to experience connection through shared action instead of emotional intensity alone. If you pay attention, you'll notice the same pattern in many of their friendships. They rarely become deeply vulnerable with people they've only spent casual time around. Instead, they open up to teammates, co-workers, longtime friends, or people they've faced challenges alongside. Their trust usually grows through shared experiences before emotional conversations ever happen. That's why intimacy is so often misunderstood. For many women, physical affection naturally strengthens emotional attachment because warmth, touch, and tenderness help create connection. But for many avoidant men, intimacy by itself doesn't automatically build that same emotional foundation. Without genuine trust and partnership already developing, it can remain simply an enjoyable experience rather than becoming a lasting bond. Understanding this alone can prevent enormous amounts of unnecessary heartbreak. It helps you stop blaming yourself for reactions that were never about your value. It reminds you that intimacy isn't always the key to attachment for someone whose nervous system prioritizes safety differently. Instead, deeper connection often grows when he feels you're navigating life together, even in small ways. Those shared moments create the emotional foundation that encourages loyalty, trust, and long-term investment. Once you understand that, many confusing behaviors begin to make sense. If you want to encourage the kind of connection that feels secure to an avoidant man, it often requires changing the way you think about closeness. Many women naturally express affection the way they personally enjoy receiving it: gentle kisses, soft touches, emotional warmth, and quiet tenderness. Those expressions feel deeply connecting to them. But an avoidant man may react differently. Sometimes that same intensity of emotional closeness quietly activates stress instead of attachment. Even if he appears relaxed, his nervous system may begin interpreting vulnerability as pressure. His body grows tense, while his mind becomes more alert than emotionally connected. This leaves many women wondering why a man suddenly pulls away after what seemed like a beautiful moment together. They assume something went wrong, that he lost interest, or that they somehow weren't enough. Often, none of those assumptions are true. His nervous system simply interpreted the experience differently. Most avoidant men genuinely want closeness. They want to feel safe and emotionally connected. But certain forms of intimacy can unintentionally trigger tension instead of comfort because of the emotional patterns they've carried for years. That's why the overall emotional atmosphere matters so much. When intimacy feels grounded, playful, relaxed, and free from pressure, many avoidant men naturally become more comfortable. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, they begin associating closeness with safety, loyalty, and stability. As that happens, attraction gradually develops into something deeper.